Mr. Creek was pulling into the drive of Mr. Charles' mansion. He turned up 15 minutes early to accommodate his slow man routine. A stupid joke that he played once in a while, she always seemed to find it very amusing. His plan of action: he would take roughly 15 minutes to turn off the ignition, check his appearance in the rear-view mirror, get out of the car, close the door and lock it and walk up the driveway. If he was in luck, Mrs. Charles would catch a glimpse of this routine from her bedroom window at the front of the house, overlooking the driveway. Perfect? As he was slow walking up the driveway 5 minutes later, every snail's step deliberate and thoughtful as if walking on an icy lake, he heard the door open in front of him and began raising his head, slowly. He spoke as if in a black hole.
"Hello, my darling."
"Michael, what are you doing standing out in the driveway?"
said the beautiful Mrs. Charles, giggling.
"I've come to pick you up,"
But Michael said, extending the length of his words further, almost singing. Mrs. Charles approached him and put one hand on his shoulder.
"How can I cure you?"
she asked.
"Just one kiss."
He eventually replied.
"Well, I don't know about that, Mr. Creek."
Mr. Creek's slow routine broke and he grabbed her arm, whirling her neatly into a passionate embrace. Mr. Creek turned off the Amadou Bello Road and down into the underground car park of the Hotel Bon Voyage. Mrs. Charles squeezed his leg and Mr. Creek turned to look at her, not noticing the lift open, revealing a tall, heavy-set man dressed in black. Creek turned through the warren of hibernating vehicles and found a space next to a brand-new acid green Lamborghini Gallardo. After parking his silver BMW, he got out of the car, careful not to scratch the translucent perfection of the Lamborghini, and walked around to the passenger side, opening the door for Mrs. Charles.
"Okay, here we are. The underground car park of the Hotel Bon Voyage. Simply beautiful, isn't it?"
he said facetiously as they stood in the dark and dank petroleum-perfumed concrete arena.
"I booked us a deluxe room with a great view of the lagoon. Well, I hope it's great. I haven't seen it before. Anyway, pass me your bag, won't you?"
Mrs. Charles reached out a slender arm into the back seat of the saloon car, grabbing her khaki green and brown leather-strapped bag.
"Thank you, Mike."
Jesus, what have you got in here? Why have you packed bricks? You crazy?
"Shut up, Mike. Let's go."
She craned her neck, pecking him on his cheek before linking arms and gesturing towards the lift.
Wait, darling. I need to lock the car.
As Michael turned to lock his BMW, he caught a glimpse of a dark figure staring in his direction in the silver paintwork of the vehicle. The warp effect of light hitting the curved chassis was disorienting and Mike spun round trying to work out where he could have seen that figure. He squinted into the deepest corners of the car park and scrutinized the stationary shadows of inanimate vehicles.
"What's wrong? Come on. I want to see this place."
Quiet. Wait.
Mike stood still, cursing his short-sightedness. Just as he was about to chastise himself for his paranoia, he felt a heavy blunt object hit the back of his head. It knocked him to his knees and threw him off balance. As his blurred vision struggled to make sense of up and down and right and left, he saw the figure, a freak amalgam of abstract light reflection and Mrs. Charles, arms outstretched remonstrating.
"What the fuck? You asshole, Michael. Baby."
He tried to respond, but struggled to work out how to compel speech. Mouthing silently, he swiveled to face his attacker. Blur, his vision was more skewed than the psychedelic reflections of the recently buffed-up silver BMW.
"Fucking stay down, you motherless fuck."
The cold hard butt of the assassin's revolver came down hard between Michael's eyes. He had the peculiar feeling of there being someone inside his head watching his life like a TV show, suddenly deciding to turn the off switch on the remote control of consciousness. As if the station had cut the feed, he felt a brief moment of bodily static before black intangible nothingness.